Just a week ago, I sat here and said the championship already runs through Alex McCullum and Ryan Kuhn, and after a Ryan Kuhn DNF at Nashville, clearly I was wrong. It takes just one bad race, one bad result to completely change a season, and if you get a little careless with your drop weeks, mulligans could be lost in a hurry. Points are heating up as the season presses to the ever-challenging Southern National Motorsports Park tonight. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Lucama, North Carolina. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV, and I have Zach Murtis alongside, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the Sim Auto Racing Association Pierce Fleet Service Super Series for the Jason K. Miller Memorial 173. Tonight's coverage is brought to you by Pierce Fleet Service, Boyd's Automotive, and Whiplash Sim Cams. And we are in race number 5, squarely this evening into the mid-season. Zach, it's good to have you. It is good to be here on the virtual racetrack, and Southern National is a pretty cool place. And it looks like drivers are waiting to the very end of qualifying, maybe, or did I drop out of the session?
I believe they're waiting to the very end of qualifying. I'm seeing a few cars going on track right now, just trying to get their laps in. Nobody has officially set a time yet, though.
I was a little concerned for a second.
No need to be concerned. If anyone should be concerned, I should be concerned.
Well, we do finally have a couple of cars on track. One of them is going to be Dylan Bates. I was a little concerned. 3 minutes to go in qualifying. Nobody was on the racetrack. I thought, surely that's not correct. But Dylan Bates finally hits the track. Richie Murray out there as well. And, you know, we'll talk more about the track when we get into our warm-up session and properly into race coverage. But this is such a short track that you can wait until the back end of the session and everybody can bum rush the track and get their laps in real quick.
It looks like Dylan Bates threw away his lap there. We see one other car out on track. Everybody's just throwing away their laps, Andrew.
Yeah, they don't like the looks they're getting. Here's Dylan Bates. Weather conditions, by the way, worth talking about. So, that's why. 85.9 degrees in the air, 105 on the track. Yeah, this day race thing here at Southern National, it's going to be a challenge for these guys. It is toasty. And
yeah, Dylan Bates completing his first lap from the looks of it, and I think he's shutting it down after that. He's pretty happy with what he got, a 1370. It's going to put him top of the board, the only car on track, as Hamilton in the 10 here hitting the track right now.
And I get what these guys are doing. I get why they're waiting, but at the same time, you have to get a lap in to be on the grid. I don't know. I'm sure some of these guys, most of these guys will be just fine, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see at least a driver or two end up botching their run, and maybe not being able to get a lap in at all, maybe having to go back to a provisional in some cases. Here's Matt Rolfe working onto the racetrack, and yeah, everybody heading out now. Cole Cabry out, Shane Williamson, John Ellett, Matt Rolfe, Justin Laxton, Casey Kelly, Keith Jeffrey, everybody's getting on the track.
Yeah, you can see the classic short track maneuvers that everyone likes to do at tracks like Southern National. Run it high in 3 and 4 and take it all the way down into 4 and bringing it right back up onto the straightaway. Here's Cabry in the 54. He's going to bring it back across the line as Bomberket goes purple. And where's he going to put Cabry?
Second. That's solid.
Goodness.
And that's
quick.
That's not far off of Dustin Bomberket. In the 16 car. There's last week's winner, Trevor Edwards, on the pit lane. He has qualified 7th so far of 9. That's not exactly inspiring as Kyle Eli goes to the top. Joe Schaefer follows up. And what a paint scheme there for Grant Brown. We'll take a look at that in the warm-up, I think, so long as he advances, and he should, as a couple of drivers pile onto the back end of the grid so far. You saw Eric Tracy. There's Kyle Susan now, and all the times are running it. This is going to be a really crazy 36 seconds, the back end of qualifying here.
Yeah, they are just going nuts. Everyone, like you said, bum rushing the track. Alex McCullum, your championship points leader. He's going to run it high and take it to the start-finish line. Is Ryan Kuhn, top of the board, 1362 as McCullum takes it through turn 2.
Alex might have just scraped the wall at the front stretch. I don't think he got it, but it was awfully close for car number 1. To the line here, our points leader across the stripe, a 13.5. That is good for pole position. What a lap. Oh, wow. 4/100ths of a second around a track that's just 4/10ths of a mile. Oh, that's impressive.
Everybody else finishing up their laps. Stromberg hitting the line. What a qualifying session.
And Thronberg and DiVincenzo are our back two qualifiers. Neither got a lap of record. That alone, I think, might keep them out of the race. Of course, there's some interesting scenarios with transfers, who's in, who's out, provisionals, and all that such. But if I had to guess, I would say the two cars who didn't get a lap, which is what I was concerned about, Zach. The two cars that didn't get a lap probably will not be in the race, if I had to guess. Now, again, we'll see exactly how they line up here in just a little while for our 173 lap feature event. But, it's good to be here for the fifth running now of the Jason K. Memorial 173 Southern National Motorsports Park. Let's talk about the track here briefly, Zach. Really cool place to race, really challenging though, and things happen in a hurry, as we saw.
Absolutely. Southern National is always a tricky place to run. And, for those who just watched our most recent broadcast, which was the LMS finale, we were right back here at Southern National Motorsports Park, and you got to see not really firsthand how everything's going to go, but when it comes to things like the street stock, which are comparable to other cars that run here at Southern National Motorsports Park, bottom line dominant. That's all it's going to be. You're going to have some runs and some fades on the outside line. You might see a couple of shots forward on the restarts, just trying to be able to fall in line, but when it comes to the longer run of this racetrack, that bottom line is going to be exactly where you want to put these cars, being able to save the tires the most, run the best lines, be able to run the fastest laps, really, and, well, just be able to take advantage of everything this track has to offer.
And there's a lot to talk about, not just with the track this evening, but also with our point standings. And if we take a look at those point standings, here we go. Alex McCullum has taken over the points lead outright by 27 markers over Jacob Harberts. And there's a big asterisk to go with these point standings, really into the last couple of races at this point. There are two drop weeks. Matt Rolfe got with me earlier today and clarified that there are two drop weeks for these guys, and that changes really the way we look at these points. I think that narrows up the top five for sure. Two drop weeks, maybe even narrows up the top 10 as a whole. It brings a lot of guys who are not in contention right now and puts them right back into this race for the championship. I think even guys like Parker Traves with that win from New Smyrna, Zach, I think he can narrow that gap big time with the drops. And if he makes a run here the back end of the season, who knows, might be able to get towards that championship lead.
Absolutely. There's so many possibilities really rolling through the rest of this season, and there's still lots of racing left to run. Lots of chances to be able to close those gaps and be able to put yourself in a position where you might be able to win this championship. And, I'm not exactly placing bets or making picks or making favorites or anything, but Alex McCullum is definitely shown that he is not going to let this championship go without a fight.
Yeah, 402 championship points as they stand. That race win from earlier in the season at Irwindale. Ryan Kuhn, of course, has that win from Kern County. Trevor Edwards got a win last week at Nashville. And Parker Traves has the win from New Smyrna that he's working with and kind of banking on right now, considering where he is in the standings. But you know what? I would have said the same thing for Trevor last week. He was down there right around the top 10, and it didn't really seem like he was in it. But got a win, got a whole bunch of points, and he's in front of guys like Cody Kelly, Rocky Boyd, Dustin Montburkett now. And that one race really turned things around for Trevor. And once we get that drop week figured in, or those two drop weeks figured in after this race, I think things are going to change. And how about the fact, Zach, that we are already through, well, after tonight, about half the season. This is race 5 of 11. I mean, that's more or less the middle.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Five Flags up next. That's a big track for super late models. You got the Snowball Derby that runs there. And boy, oh boy, is that race ever so great. I implore you to check it out. And then the Mystery Night. I want to know what that mystery track is going to be. I think it's going to be something, anything that's really going to throw these guys for a loop. But, we head to a lot of great tracks that super late models are really, really prominent at. Slinger is one of the big tracks that I'm happy for. Oxford Plains and Lanier also just big tracks, well, big for the racing, small for the actual size. And, I think as we continue on, the racing is just going to get even more heated.
Worth mentioning as well, we have a 3-week break right after this race between February 29th and March 21st. That's a bit of time for sure for these guys to have a little time off, a little R&D maybe in some cases, but these guys are still racing. In fact, we have the 1-8 Coffee Company national schedule that'll be taking us to Hickory Motor Speedway here in a couple of weeks. We have next week completely off for the iRacing.com build for season number 2 in 2024, but then the week after we have 2 races at Hickory Motor Speedway in the same week, to 150 lappers as well, thanks to 1-8 Coffee Company. It sounds like we'll have some really, really cool racing that week, and I think a lot of guys will be very, very happy with that weekend. But Zach, as we sit here between sessions, we're going to take a brief moment away and get ready to go racing. Sounds like the lineup is being set, the session is going up, and we are not far at all from going racing in the 5th Jason K. Memorial 173. Quickly, though, a big nod to our partners here with the series: 1-8 Coffee Company, Pedley's Garage Incorporated, Pierce Fleet Service, Race1Wraps.com, RS Center Trucking, SARA Next Gen Templates, SimWrapMarket.com, Souza Media, Studio 10 Wraps, Toxic Media Solutions, and that's just the half of them. Boyd's Automotive, Crow Sim Shots, Davis Chassis Works, DriverTees.com, Fast AF Designs, Hyde's Pride, Leather and Sheepskin, International Short Track Association, Jeff By Jr. Art, Justin Brooks Designs, and Matthews Designs. A whole lot of designs happening for sure, but we've got a session going up here shortly. We'll be right back with a racing action from the high banks of virtual Lucama, North Carolina. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the virtual Southern National Motorsports Park in the virtual Lucama, North Carolina. And Zach, we have to get straight to one thing in particular, and that is Grant Brown's paint scheme. I have never seen such a delicious looking race car. As we get back into the iRacing.com sim, look at this particular super late model. Grant Brown knocking, well, I don't think he necessarily knocked it out of the park, but Rocket iRace wraps, it looks like. Oh my gosh, what a paint scheme. Sprinkles all over it. The Krispy Kreme icing running down the side. I'm a sucker for some hot and fresh Krispy Kreme original glazed donuts, and this is making me sad I don't have a dozen.
Sorry to burst your bubble here, Andrew, but I'm much more of a fan of Dunkin' Donuts myself.
I am usually as well. I am usually as well. I'm a Dunkin' Donuts guy. I have family from the Northeast, so I've been to the Northeast a million times myself. Like, I don't know. I'm a Patriots fan. That's going to alienate, I think, myself as well. Patriots fan, Red Sox fan. Like, Dunkin' Donuts kind of makes sense to me and my family and whatnot. I don't know. I'm a Dunkin' Donuts guy, but let's get into this broadcast properly now that we got the donuts out of the way. Welcome back to the virtual Southern National Motorsports Park and the 5th Jason K. Miller Memorial 173. And a lot of memorial races, I think, kind of fly under the radar in iRacing, but it's good to, for the 5th time now in SARA history, look back on Jason K. Miller, a beloved part of the SARA community years back, and unfortunately lost in 2020. But we have cars on the racetrack in a positive way, and we are going racing for the 5th time this season. Once more, here is the schedule. February 29th, Leap Day. This is the first time I've done that. Leap Day here on Pit Stop TV. Next race is 3 weeks away when we go into Five Flags on March 21st. So this is the last bit of super late model racing, for points at least, that we'll have for a little bit. So relish in it, I suppose, a little bit. And here's a look at the point standings once again as cars continue to do their thing down trackside. Zach, this is a very important screen to be looking at.
Absolutely. And you really just got to think really, really hard, honestly, about how important it is, because Alex McCollum's your points leader. Starting from the pole tonight. Ryan Kuhn, who lost a little bit of ground last week, is starting 2nd tonight. There's a lot of big contenders that are starting up there at the front of the field. And, you know, these guys really need to make sure that they're getting their heads down, and it's crunch time. You're getting to the halfway point of the season. This is where things start to kind of take their turn and, you know, move towards, how should I put it, realistically thinking about the championship. And not to kind of throw it back to Krispy Kremes, but obviously somebody's going to be doing donuts tonight. Hopefully we'll be seeing someone, maybe an upset winner, or even just Alex McCollum taking another win.
We shall see who is in victory lane at the end of 173 laps this evening. It's been 125 lappers, with the exception of Kern County at 124. But this is the first big deviation in race length. And 173 laps here, with the temperature as hot as it is. It's slightly cooler than it was in qualifying, but still a really, really hot racetrack. As there you see the session ending. This is going to be a big time challenge for these guys. And if we take a look at the Whiplash SimCam's race details, 173 lap race, open setups, no change tires. Top 8 points handicap in the lineup. We'll talk about that here in a second. And of course, caution laps count. Zach, the big thing is the no change tires. That is going to be excruciating for some of these guys over the course of 173.
Hey, it's just being able to save the rubber as best you can, and oh my goodness, it's definitely going to show who is going to be able to take advantage of things tonight. As well, everyone seems to be staging up right now, getting the grid all set. I think we should, oh, excuse me, I'm having a little bit of something in my throat.
Well, we've got the grid ready to go here in just a second. Joe Schaefer Jr. on pole through the handicap, and I think it's a mix of points and previous race results. We can at least go through and take a look at who is starting where in our 30-car field. By the way, Tyler DiVinanzo did just make it with a provisional. But Joe Schaefer will lead us on the CC's Business starting grid from position number 1. Kyle Eli will start this race from the second spot. Starting from third, how about Dustin Monburquette in car 16? He's quick. Trayton Lapsevich from the top of row number 2. Starting fifth, Ryan Kuhn. Sixth, Casey Kelly. How about seventh and eighth, Cole Cabry and Alex McCullum, a couple of big-time heavy hitters in this series. To complete the top 10, Jim Connell and Kyle Meyer. He's been starting up front lately, but doesn't have the results to show for it, Zach, as we move on in this grid.
Cody Kelly and Cameron Hamilton, 11th and 12th, rolling through the rest of the grid here as we are getting ready to come to the green here shortly. Laner Rapp, Grant Brown. Laner Rapp, Grant Brown, 13th and 14th on the grid here. Spencer Dickinson, Grayson Ward, 15th and 16th. That's about your halfway point in the field as we got the 30 cars lined up here on Southern National Motorsports Park. Drew Wooten and Dylan Bates, 17th and 18th on the grid tonight. And then round out your top 20, Trevor Edwards and Justin Laxton. We've only got 10 other cars left to go through the field, Andrew.
Yeah, 21st through 30th will look like the following. We'll just go through some notables here as the field scrolls on by. We do have 4 pace laps for these guys to kind of get ready to go racing. But how about Daniel Folds back here? Aaron Johnson, even he was pretty solid back at Nashville a week ago. Some other notables back here, I think, have to include Matt Rolfe in the 0 car, starting from 26th position. That is a big, I think, black eye on his race already. And we haven't even got racing. Eric Tracy back here as well. He's been pretty good. Keith Jeffrey. Some guys with speed in the back end of the field as the iRacing.com pace car prepares to leave this field in the hands of Joe Schaefer in the Epic Media Ford Mustang. Around the high banks of Southern National, we are green. Lap 1 complete. Joe Schaefer holds on to the race lead. 173 laps to get it done, though. It's going to be difficult to stay ahead of some of these guys. We're already working through the top 10. Trayton Lapsevich from 4th to 5th and might be 6th here soon. Cole Cabry working to the inside of that number 20 Toyota Camry.
Team Monburquette goes fastest on the racetrack right there. Single file up in the 3rd spot as they are still side by side. Cabry and Lapsevich just trying to find a way to get to the bottom. You see Alex McCollum falling in line back there. These guys are starting to really wrap the bottom and try to find a way around. You see Cabry still holding, getting a nose in front, but still can't pull away.
These laps click off quickly, and already we're seeing these laps just kind of go on by. These guys get single file, work to the bottom of the track. That bottom groove is going to heat up pretty quick, too, as, again, we stay side by side. Cole Cabry on the inside of Pull Down Motorsports. Trayton Lapsevich, who finally finds a line in front of Casey Kelly. How about that to get car 20 in line? Now, Alex McCullum going to take advantage of that little bit of a checkup. That small accordion effect really helped Alex get to the bottom side of car 5. Now Casey scrapes the outside wall, and somebody who was oh so strong at Nashville a week ago slips back to the 8th position.
Casey got a little loose through turn number 4 as McCullum was getting underneath, and these drivers are really going to start falling in line. They're not going to be too aggressive, I would hope. Stay single file, make sure you manage these tires. We've still got more than 160 laps left of racing, and as we see McCullum right there on the back bumper, and they are spreading out at the front of the field. Schaefer pulling away by about 0.3 of a second right now.
This is the strongest we've seen the 6 car yet, and of course, the bit of a handicap with the formula to get him on pole position, that is obviously a big help, but he's holding his own right now and putting some space between himself and others. Some very fast race cars as well, including Dustin Monburquette. However, Zach, as impressive as it may be that he's out here leading laps, I always kind of go back to my experience with the Cars Tour and running through 125, 150, 175 lap races even with one set of tires or no tires. And these guys are the same kind of challenge. No tires, 173 laps at a really tough racetrack with high lateral Gs. They have to pace themselves. These tires will wear out very quickly. They have to pace themselves. I doubt many of these guys are pushing beyond maybe 3/4 effort. Some of them certainly are at that 100% maybe, that 90%, 80%, but a lot of these guys are 3/4 or less as far as what they can actually do with their race cars. They're saving their tires, trying to get laps logged.
Yeah, just roll off the throttle, be easy going into the corner, wait to get on the power, and just be able to not really abuse the tires. That right front's going to be your best friend come lap 150, 170, and if you mismanage that right front tire, that's going to be your race over with before it ever even started. I'm much more focused on a lot of these guys back here in the middle towards the back of the pack.
Whoa! Eric Tracy. And he has disconnected.
Right,
he just dropped out of the race, and he's not the only one that is disconnected so far. Cameron Hamilton had something happen at the start. He is out of this race now with 15 laps complete. Eric Tracy now out of the race. Matt Rolfe, by the way, we're on board with him for all of that. He is running 28th, last of the cars still running. That's a tough position to be in. Also want to give a nod to this guy, back end of the grid. Drew Wooten made it into the show this evening. He'll be shown on the ticker with a number 75. He was in line to sub for Cody Kelly. Cody Kelly made the race. Drew Wooten gets to race for himself. That was kind of cool. Also, Landon Rapp up in the 11th position, playing super sub once again. He's been doing that a lot this season. He's running for Brett Suggs for the second week in a row. He is running 11th with Trevor Edwards right on his back bumper. And go back to Nashville last week. Edwards, the race winner. Now he's back in traffic a bit. It's going to be tough to move forward.
Especially with everyone being single file running on the bottom. And that's where I was talking about with everyone being aggressive. You don't want to be aggressive too early and start costing yourself time. Especially with running on the outside line. You're going to use up your tires a little bit more. That's why I was so worried for Lapsevich earlier on in the race. Running outside for too long. So we got to move up front. Saw McCullum take a look to the inside of Lapsevich while we were riding on board there with Edwards in the 32, and it looks like they've spaced out a little bit more.
Interesting racing happening up here. Lapsevich in between Cole Cabry and Alex McCullum, and those two are relevant to each other because they both run for the shop. And there is a team tournament happening thanks to Davis Chassis Works where 8 teams are running in a bracket-style competition, kind of kicking off March Madness a little bit early. We're starting out with 8 teams this evening at Southern National. We'll whittle it down to 4 teams through bracket-style matchups, and we can actually, we can verbally at least, go through who is facing who. This week it's the Shop versus JAM. It's the Association versus the Posse. It's LeDuc Matthews Racing versus the Show. It's also Pull Down Motorsport versus RKM. We'll talk more about that later on, but it might be in the back of the minds of some of these drivers. For the most part, they're all still focused on just going for the race win or doing their best to net whatever the points they can. Also, did you see that bobble out of the 1 car that time off turn 4?
A little bit. He's McCullum is still trying to figure out from what it looks like what he wants to do with his cars. He's taking big arcs to try to set up runs as there is fighting going on side by side. Cottle on the outside. McCullum has made it past Lapsevich. Those setups were working as they're still side by side back there, and those drivers up front are catching Ryan Coon.
We nearly had a caution, by the way. Shane Williamson now out of the race, but we keep on going. Green flag still, as there goes Jim Cottle Jr. around the outside of Cody Kelly. Glad he made it, but right now it's like he's a roadblock on the inside of the racetrack, an obstacle for these guys to get around. Cottle does it, now Landon Rapp does it. Here comes Trevor Edwards to go by on the outside, and if you're getting past to the outside at a place like this, you're doing something wrong. And I hate to call Cody out like that, but something is not working for the 75 car currently.
Well, you can't necessarily say that he's doing something completely wrong. He might just be saving tires a little bit more than they are on the outside, may not be running as hard, which is completely fine. He's able to fall back in line right here, put himself slotted in to the 12th position, not even really that far off. He's only 1 position lower than where he started tonight. You know, still just trying to hang on to what he's got. He's stuck on the outside here, but manages to keep his car in line as they're still fighting up in front.
Yeah, Jim Cottle Jr. now side by side with Landon Rapp, and that Cadillac goes on by. Car number 33 working forward, and I'm sure Landon's got some experience here in a Legends car. U.S. Legends getting more and more popular across the Southeast as Edwards grabs a piece of the concrete barrier. But Landon definitely showing he's got some pace in that 33 car, moving into the top 10 now. Where did he start? 13th. I know that number isn't big, 4 spots, but it's bigger here in particular. That's a pretty decent number as we watch this fight as well. Alex McCullum now ahead of Cole Cabry, who's ahead of Trayton Lapsevich as that number 20 continues to sink back.
Yeah, Lapsevich has been on the back foot just a little bit as this race is going on, as we see Landon Rapp continuing to work that middle groove. Look at how big of a run he got to get on the outside of Kelly, and he is still working that outside line like he would not.
I gotta believe that Landon is I think, pushing a lot harder than the rest of the field right now. I'm not sure why, but I don't see how he's getting these kinds of runs on the outside of the racetrack if he isn't just pushing harder than the rest of the cars he's racing around. As Zach had a mic issue there for a second. Lapsevich now slides in behind that 33 car, and that pass is complete. This fight happening as well back here. Cody Kelly now ahead of Jim Cottle Jr., the 15, working in the wrong direction. Spencer Dickinson on the outside of that 15 car, as here comes Grayson Ward, who's back in his car this week at Southern National Motorsports Park, and good to have him back in his number 9. He'll take that spot away and move into 13th. Up front, Joe Schaefer Jr., a half-second lead and change over Kyle Eli, who's got about 1.5 seconds. Second and a half, back to Dustin Monburquette, then Ryan Kuhn, Alex McCullum, and the rest of the bunch that we've been watching for the last several laps. Really spread out up front, and that's what we want to see to a point, right? You don't necessarily want to see the field spread out and nobody race, but you do want to see this kind of running happening. This is impressive stuff. And Zach will be back with us here in a moment. Trevor Edwards now working on the 20 car of Trayton Lapsevich. Cody Kelly there as well. Just as soon as I said Kelly was going backwards, maybe something was amiss for that 75 car, he's working back up and getting back into the swing of things, back into the fray. And the track is working its way up as well. Look at how far up these guys are running through the corners. The bottom side getting way too hot at this stage of the race. Grant Brown, it looks like having some connection difficulties or something going on for the 14 car. As, yeah, it looks like connection issues just ahead of Keith Jeffrey and Justin Laxton. So the 14 car was gone for a moment. It comes back, it looks like, but that's going to promote a fight here for the 19th position. Jeffrey defending over Laxton. Good midfield battling. Laxton now looks to the inside, kind of just seeing what he can get maybe on the 88 car. And how about Daniel Folds back into the race? He's had a couple of rough races as of late. Good to see him here. Kyle Meyer now as well, sinking backwards as Matt Rolfe grabs a spot. Also, side by side for our two top drivers of the series, I'd say. Ryan Kuhn on the outside of Alex McCullum, lap 46 of 173. And we've already got these two fighting who've been the top of the series. They were our first two winners on the season. McCullum now the points leader. Ryan Kuhn sunk back to third last week at Nashville, and the 72 is getting all kinds of free.
Big time wiggle off of turn number 2. Cole Cabrey starting to come into the mix. You can see just how much Ryan Kuhn is working that steering wheel as McCullum continues to charge forward on that bottom line. Monburquette right in front of them, and now they're going to be side by side for the third spot.
Really impressive stuff here as we're watching the hands of Ryan Kuhn. This is a challenge. This super late model already drives interestingly, I'll say. I can't get it around these short tracks like these guys, that's for sure. I have some issues as 50 laps now are complete. And the corrections that Ryan is having to make, again, impressive, I think, is the best word for it.
Absolutely.
Even if he's getting passed up, it's still impressive how these guys are hanging on to the race car.
Yeah, Cole Cabrey just slipped on by him right there for the 5th position, and Monburquette continues to fall backwards. Cabrey on the inside, taking 4th away. Ryan Kuhn has shifted back to the bottom line. He's going to try to work himself past Monburquette as the race continues on.
Side by side still, our cars 54 and 16, and they're not the only ones as Cabrey gets clear. Now Ryan Kuhn works on the 16 car once again, and that was kind of what held Ryan up in the first place to get passed up by guys like McCullum and Cabrey. As, Cody Kelly had a moment. Casey Kelly now is in this fight that Cody's been in for a while. Landon Rapp gets by the 5 car. He's into 7th. Trevor Edwards, though, look at that move on the inside.
Big move down to the bottom. He's got a bumper on a quarter panel right there as they're rolling side by side through 1 and 2 rows deep. Landon Rapp still trying to make that outside line work as Trayton Lapsevich is trying to march forward after he's been walking backwards this entire race.
Trevor Edwards inside, fresh off a race win. He moves into 7th, landed wrap down to 8th. Trayton Lapcevich coming back a little bit. Grayson Ward in the picture. And just behind these guys, saw a bit of fighting for guys like John Owlett, Tyler DiVinanzo, Matt Rolfe. So we've got fighting all over the racetrack. Tough to keep tabs on it all, but we'll do our best as this fight continues. Landon Rapp, who was pushing so hard about 20, 30 laps ago, he's starting to feel the effects on those tires now, starting to sink back through the field.
And Landon Rapp starting to walk backwards as Ryan Kuhn and Marquette are up there just duking it out. Ryan Kuhn is cleared for 5th as Landon Rapp continues to walk backwards.
Here comes Dickinson. Mountain View, North Carolina's number 6 car. Dickinson chassis working on the bottom side of that. And, well, I think he's going to have the spot. Spencer's been improving big time and working on 10th place now if he can get by Landon Rapp. I think that 6 car is going to have some really solid results coming down the pipeline here soon. Cody Kelly also, he was fantastic last week. Really, Casey, though, was the one that stole the show. Casey Kelly, between the 2 Kellys. The 5 car was great a week ago. As the midfield sorts out, how about Dylan Bates, Jacob Harberts? Harberts is second in the standings, Zach. He's running back here, though, in 15th, 16th position. It kind of changes by the moment, fighting with the 91 car.
Yeah, he really needs to be able to start moving himself forward, especially since McCullum has spent this whole race moving himself forward up into the 3rd spot. That's not what you want to see your championship rival doing, as they are almost 3 wide coming off of turn number 4. There was a look to the inside. It seems like everyone's still just kind of falling into line as Harbers is still struggling underneath Dylan Bates, trying to find a way to move past him. And there's the look again. Almost contact. Big wiggle off of 4.
Harberts kind of ran Bates up, and it works. Gets him the spot, but he's definitely having trouble keeping the car down on the bottom of the racetrack. Even here, solo, well, he does a better job, but still off of the white line just a little bit. Seems like maybe that car is... It looks like the issue that it looked like he was having, it doesn't look like he's having anymore. He's right down to the bottom of the track. I guess, Zach, that must have been some kind of tactic to get Bates out of his way. That's a new one. I've not seen that before, but hey, it worked.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen Josh Berry do it plenty of times. Running them out of room just a little bit and then cutting that car back to the bottom to keep it rolling. A lot of things rolling through this race right now as we're creeping up on halfway here. And a lot of things that I've seen a lot of these drivers do, it's kind of like a double apex that you would see on a road course. They slide up off the bottom just a little bit and cut it back down even just a hair from 1 to 2 or 3 to 4, and it kind of gives them just a bit of a run. It helps them on an exit for some reason. I'm not sure why, as Laxton clipped the wall there a little bit.
A little wall contact the right rear, a little bit of car contact, it looked like with the nose there. It's Grant Brown in 3 and 4, and we got fighting back here as well. Wow, Kyle Meyer going the wrong direction big time. These guys still on the lead lap, but there is your leader. Yeah, Joe Schaefer Jr. quickly coming up on these guys. We'll go inside the helmet of driver number 6 as the Epic Media Ford Mustang quickly approaches Kyle Meyer, Daniel Folds, and Drew Wooten. This is going to be quite the gaggle, quite the rat's nest to get the 6 car through.
And you can see, kind of riding on board here with him, you can see how he was saving tires. He's taking a very straight entry into these corners and only cutting the wheel once the car is slowed enough down that it can rotate properly. And here's another look on board. There you see when he starts cutting the wheel in the center of the corner. Watch going into turn 1, points the car immediately, gets it straight under braking, starts turning through the center, powers it off the corner. That's a great way to save tires, and it's definitely working for him as he's pulled out to almost a second lead as he crosses the start-finish line here.
Turns in real early, just kind of woes it down at the bottom of the track. As soon as he gets there, just kind of woes it and hooks it around the very, very bottom, right on the top of the apron. So good stuff here from Joe. As we do approach halfway, it'll be about lap 86 and a half. That is officially halfway, and we've got more racing to pull. Oh, contact save! What a save from Monburquette.
Up the racetrack, still free, looking at down the straightaway, trying to get a handle on that race car.
Yeah, I think that ticked him off a little bit.
And you can see Monburquette trying to power back on the outside. Dickinson underneath. Lapcevich just starting to scoot away after a little boot scoot contact with Monburquette.
Well, the boot was the contact, the scoot was him sliding, and the boogie was Trayton getting away. That was, hey, you know, it worked out for Trayton. He hangs on to the spot. He's 7th now. And Marquette actually falls back. He is working, though, on getting back by the 6 car of Dickinson. Is 10 laps to halfway. These guys are just clicking them off one by one. Marquette, though, running the top side. We're using it to his advantage. And Joe Schaefer, it looks like, has caught those guys to put him a lap down.
Now comes the real fight. Alex McCullum sitting about 1.5 back. Ellie's sitting about 3/4 of a second back. Working through the lap traffic is where you're going to start making friends and making enemies. If you can get through cleanly, you're going to start getting your lead a little bit further out there. But if you can't navigate these lap cars, that's going to be a problem, as he's actually starting to lose his lead a little bit here to the 21.
Not only is he losing that lead, his line has changed. He's not pointing it down the racetrack at the stripe anymore. He's taking the outside lane now, and I think prepping himself to try to find a way by this 88 car and others. That time, though, right to the inside, and Kyle Meyer will let him have the position. But he's already lost half his lead, thereabouts, and Kyle Eli has driven right up happily. So this is very much affecting our leaders. As contact here, Laxton and Brown, they fight in the midfield. A caution could be imminent at any point in time, and it very well could be a group of cars that the 6 car is coming around to lap.
Yeah, I'm hearing a little bit of spicy radio chatter between Laxton and Brown as they still work around each other. You see the leader rolling through, and I'm going to question Laxton a little bit here. I don't understand why you would want to pass such a nice view.
Whoa! Contact there in turn 4. This is the 18th position, by the way, and these guys are getting rough and tumble for sure as we work lap 83 of 173. But up for the race lead, Daniel Foltz has gone a lap down. Schaefer gets by that 09 car, but Kyle Eli not far back in that 21, and this would be a fantastic opportunity for him to turn everything around this season. I go back to Irwindale and New Smyrna, where this guy had 2 absolutely abysmal races back-to-back to turn things around, even just this kind of running through the first half of the race as we work on to lap 86 and halfway. This is a big-time turnaround for Eli. He's got to feel satisfied no matter the result at this point. He has been here, shown up, made himself known, and he's just got to try to hang on this next half of the race as side-by-side, a couple of teammates, I'm pretty sure, Drew Wooten and Tyler DiVinanzo, and they're holding up the race leader.
Yeah, racing etiquette says that these drivers can race for their position. They're still technically on the lead lap, but it looks like that's going to clear itself out. But it costed Schaefer big time. Only 0.3 of a second separate the leaders. And McCullum and Cabry are now starting to fight amongst themselves a little bit. That race is heating up as these drivers continue to close the gap, with Schaefer getting held up by lap traffic.
Schaefer's still stuck behind the 2 car of Drew Wooten, who works the outside, and they're just making his life a little bit difficult, right? They don't want to go a lap down. They don't want to get stuck behind the lead lap field if a caution were to come out now. So I get why they're fighting, but this sucks for Joe Schaefer to see his lead just taken away. But there we go. Wooten up out of the way. He'll let the 6 car have it. Kyle Eli has had a little better luck working through these guys, and McCullum starting to move up. Cabry not far back. In fact, it's gone from a 2-second gap from McCullum to the race leader to just over a second.
And that's saying something, because for about 2-3 laps there, McCullum and Cabry were side by side.
Caution!
First caution on the speedway.
Cody Kelly, car 75.
Oh my
wow.
goodness. That is a heavy, heavy hit for Cody Kelly.
He's junk.
That's the first time I've seen a super late model on the surface have rear end damage.
He's junk, and there's the leader. Joe Schaefer pulls up, so Kelly will technically hold on to the lead lap, but no fast repair. That Justin Brooks Designs, number 75, is headed to the back quickly, and I'll be impressed if he's able to roll around and finish any better than last of the cars remaining. Wow,
oh
Momberket! What a crash.
Jinx, you owe me a soda.
Let's look back at this a couple times. So they're trying to get by Richie Murray, the 8 car. And Richie could throttle back. I mean, Dustin tries to give him room. That's just challenging. I mean, that's Southern National for you.
The hard pass to make there. Just when you pile up like that, all the cars get thrown under a blanket. It gets hard when you're trying to make moves and still race for position.
From the onboard of Richie Murray, there's the crash. Wow.
Oh my goodness. I would be surprised if Marquette stays on the racetrack and doesn't go down and take at least a little bit of damage repair.
I hate it for Dustin too. I mean, he's just trying to give room and race Cody fairly and get by that lap car, and Richie was just there for a moment too long. Dustin gave them both room. Casey Kelly involved.
There looked like a little bit of net code in there, to be perfectly honest, as well.
Yeah, a bit, but I think they were maybe going to make contact either way, and regardless, they had the crash. Regardless of net code, the crash did still happen, and is very much affecting both drivers. And you know what? Even 3 or 4 drivers in that, because both Kellys were swept up in that one, and Richie Murray. We'll have a little under a half of the way to go, though, working up to lap 100. One caution. That was the first one. Cautions breed cautions, though, inside of half the race to go. Who knows? We might see a few more as the green flag is back out for Joe Schaefer at Southern National. Schaefer clear. Contact there between the 1 and 21. Alex McCullum vying for second.
21 of Eli trying to hang on to that top spot. Well, I say top spot, but he's on the top. Still, McCullum underneath, Cabry single file behind. Looks like McCullum is still just trying to see if he can make moves down there, but it looks like, I thought they'd get clear, but it looks like not. Still side by side for second.
Eli still has the spot. It's going to be tough to pass at the bottom right now, especially up front. So props here to the 21 car defending like he is. That was almost the opportunity, though, that Alex needed. As soon as he gets to the right rear of that 21, I think Kyle Eli is going backwards. And whoa, hello, top 5 suddenly for the 32 car. Won a week ago at Nashville. Clearly, he's got his mojo back. Edwards might win the short fight to Cole Cabry. Ryan Kuhn there on his outsides too. But the 32 just suddenly being in the top 5, that is a big, big deal.
He's still underneath that 54 car of Cabry, trying to see if he can march his way forward even just a little bit more, as Ryan Kuhn is right behind him, seeing which line really is going to move forward faster. If he can make the outside line work, he'll keep the 32 pinned down there, but if Kuhn thinks that the 32 is going to move forward, well, he's going to follow Edwards right past Cole Cabry, but it looks like they'll get single filed out as Kuhn sets up a run, looking low.
Nearly had 3 wide, nearly had some more contact there to turn 4, but we've got some side-by-side racing from a couple of teammates now at the shop. Cole Cabry, Alex McCullum. This is just going to slow the 2 of them down and build a gap up to Kyle Eli. I don't think this is exactly what they want to be doing right now. But it does seem like Cole might have a little more speed.
Yeah, but this is exactly what Schaefer and Eli want to see, is they're starting to march away from him just a little bit. Cabry trying, and he...
Whoa, spinning is the 5. We stay green. I don't know for how long, though. 3 wide here with Rapp up top. Harbert's in the middle. Brown now backs out. And that was pretty smart from Grant to get back as the leaders start to go at it side by side for the race lead. Lap 107, we might have our first lead change.
And Eli's just trying to see if he can make moves on the bottom. Schaefer has been the leader all day so far. And Cole Cabry is saying,
lead change.
Fight.
Joe had him at the line, just barely. Kyle might have him here soon, though, as Cabry pulls up and the 1 car looks on as well. We might... Schaefer's got him again at the line.
There comes a point where you just have to say, well, I need to stop fighting because we are letting Cole Cabry reel himself in. And it looks like he has put himself in position as Cabry is now to the bottom of the racetrack, fighting for second. McCullum trying to find a way to get to them. As the fight heats up, it's going to allow all of these drivers to reel themselves in further and further. And Cabry still trying to make that bottom line work, but Eli is getting good runs through the middle. It might be the way to go now.
Joe ran a bit lower that time in 3 and 4, and it bit him badly. He lost time out of turn 4. Watch the 6 car down here in 3 and 4 again. He's going to run a little bit higher, and it seems like he gets a better run doing that. So Cabri, you can only imagine how much he's struggling right now to the inside of Kyle Eli to try and get that car to rotate. Of course, different setups across each different car, I'm sure. But right now, the 6 has to stay higher. It looks like as he goes lower, he struggles more. I'd imagine that bottom side is hotter, it's greasier, it's got more rubber. And it's just, I think neutered is almost maybe the word I would use, because you have less room to turn in, less room to corner out. It's tough down there on the bottom side. Eli hanging on as everybody else starts to run back up to it. Alex McCullum, Trevor Edwards, Ryan Kuhn, Drayton Lapsovich, Spencer Dickinson, all closing in.
You can see just how much the bottom worn is. Cabri goes up the racetrack. This is going to allow McCullum to sneak in a little bit further, as Edwards and Kuhn are right behind him. You can see the bottom has gotten really, really dark as the race has gone on. The bottom's really worn in as Eli is finally going to clear the 54 of Cabri. That's going to put him into the clutches of McCullum, and Schaefer is now free and clear of any fights. And Cabri still trying to work that inside line.
Cabri right back down to the bottom side. But single file we stay all the way back to Spencer Dickinson and Dylan Bates. They fight back here for the 8th spot and now get single file, at least for the time being. Lapsovich still in this fight. Boy, we have got ourselves one hell of a race from here to the checkered if this holds. This is some really good stuff. Kyle Eli loose there out of turn 4. That 21 starting to struggle maybe. And he falls back off the 6 car for the short term.
Starting to see a lot more fights throughout the field. We're seeing a few drivers moving forward as everyone's just trying to get single filed out. Dylan Bates trying to work himself forward. Harberts has worked himself up to 11th, but he's still a little bit of ways behind Landon Rapp, or excuse me, Johnson and Bates, who are up there fighting just outside the top 10. And this is not what you want to see for a championship leader. McCullum's up there in 4th. Harberts is down here in 11th. That's going to be big for the championship.
Yeah, if we get another yellow, and hopefully we don't, but if we do, we'll recount the point situation a little bit, because McCullum does have the points lead by quite a significant margin still over Jacob Harberts. Now, at the same time, we have 2 drops being figured in after this race, so we won't really have a clear picture of who is going to win this championship until much later on. We can really just speculate really as to who is being most consistent, who is putting themselves in a decent spot, and go from there as we've got a side-by-side. We almost had a side-by-side fight once again for the race lead. Eli is there. Everybody is there chomping at the bit, and the 6 car, I think, is starting to struggle.
In reality, I think it's anybody's race that's inside probably about the top 7 or top 8.
Absolutely.
You know, they're so close together, you can throw them all under a blanket. Within 2 seconds overall between leader and top 10, it's so close between all of these drivers. It couldn't really be any closer. Eli is still trying to make moves for the lead. Cabri is still trying to find his way around. We've got another fight here. This is towards the back of the pack. You see Daniel Folds up there on the outside.
You've got them all over. All over.
There's so much good racing going on.
Grant Brown, Grayson Ward, Matt Rolfe, along with Jim Cottle Jr. Battles all over the racetrack, but our leaders simply cannot be ignored at this stage of the race. Working up to 50 to go here shortly, and we have got 5 cars all in one camera shot and then some. Ryan Kuhn not far back. Drayton Lapsovich still in the conversation, and you know, when we go plate racing on Wednesdays with the SARG Super Speedway Series, it feels like we just get into a mode of hurry up and wait for things to happen. We're almost in that same kind of situation now, Zach, as we are inside of 50 to go, by the way. Clicking them off one by one, and McCullum got real free that time at a 4.
This is starting to turn into a little bit of a style that you would kind of see at Daytona or Talladega. You've got a few cars that are really committed to the bottom. You've got a few cars that are really committed to the top, and they're all working well with their respective lines, but neither one is really moving forward at a constant pace, really, as they're side by side. For the lead again, Eli to the bottom. He's starting to get a little bit of a run down there. Schaefer is trying to hold on. Lap at the line still belong to Schaefer.
Still no official lead changes, but we might have one here on lap 130. Can Kyle Eli get him at the stripes? Side by side through 3 and 4. The 21 tries to get the run at the stripe. Wow, a dead heat. Check the graphic. No lead change, and there's a caution in the back. Grayson Ward is turned around at the top of turn 3. And the track is clear, but a caution saves the number 6.
If you our Schaefer right now, that would be, oh my goodness. I would be thanking the Lord Almighty for throwing the caution when he did.
And I would immediately get off of the racing line. Marbles aren't really a thing in iRacing. They aren't nearly as detrimental as real life racing, where you've got those hot race tires that have been going for 130 laps and you cannot get out of the racing line because you will pick up all those marbles. In iRacing, you just want to run where the track is the coolest and you can still make time. And of course, during caution, you can run anywhere and make time, right? Because you're stuck behind the pace car. As we take a look back at what happened to Grayson Ward with Drew Wooten. Contact, and it looks like the 8 turned him around. That was Owlette. But if I'm any of these leaders, I want to get off of the racing line somewhere. Maybe not in the corners if you're worried about marbles, even though I don't think they pick up on these tires. Regardless, at least in the straightaways, get off of the racing line, pull those tires down as best as you can.
Just squeeze to the wall, and then you see the cars behind try to cut low, but still ended up making contact. So ended up in the right hook, and well, that's what did them in right there, as you see them still running on the racing line, Andrew.
Well, maybe it's not that big of a deal to these guys. Who knows? I'm not a super late model driver, so I don't know. But hats
Still
off.
a lot of time. Oh, sorry there, Andrew.
Well, hats off to this whole field as we take a look at some of the partners with the series. Well, all of the partners with the series. I have never seen a super late model race this good. Real or iRacing. I haven't seen a ton of super late model races, admittedly. It's a small sample size, but this at least still takes the cake. I've never seen a super late model race this darn good. And Schaefer back down to the bottom for this restart. Going to shake things up all over again. The top side is definitely king in a battle, so we'll see if the 6 can get himself clear to the top. Otherwise, he might be in for our first lead change of the race. We're still looking for it. 140 laps in nearly, still no lead changes, but we are getting close as we work into the restart zone. And back green in the 5th, Jason K. Miller Memorial, 173. Stacked up, racing we go again at Southern National.
Schaefer looking, gets clear. Cabry down on the inside of Eli, who is now walking himself a little bit backwards. Has the run come off turn 2. Schaefer still leading as we get back to the green flag, and they're still fighting hard for that second place position as there's fights all over the field.
Working close to 30 to go. I think we'll say 35 right now without doing the hardcore math, but here comes Cole Cabry still working on that second spot and still just can't quite get it. Stuck in a stalemate, it seems like these guys are, but deeper in the field. They're finding what they need to make some of those passes. Ryan Kuhn dropping back to 8th. He's starting to struggle. And you mentioned Jacob Harberts was into 11th earlier. Well, he's now 12th. Matt Rolfe, who was dead last in the first 20 laps or so, he is back in this race. He is 11th as Grant Brown has trouble in the back of the field.
You see a lot of drivers here who need to have solid point states. They're starting to walk themselves a little bit further backwards as, see, I believe that's Lapsevich right there up on the top as we're on board here with Dylan Bates. And they are fighting hard for that 5th place as Edwards continues to roll that bottom. It seems the bottom is working a little bit better when it comes to the middle of the pack, but the outside line is still rolling very, very solid as everyone has started to shift to the bottom. See a little bit of contact on the wall out there for a few of those drivers to come across the front stretch.
Cole Cabry problems. He falls back real quick.
McCullum getting by him for 3rd. I wonder if Cabry's going to be able to mount a car and get back to him.
And that is 40 laps to go. No, 30 laps to go.
Bottom.
Dylan Bates still working on the 20 car of Trayton Lapsevich. Trevor Edwards is getting clear now of that 20. So Bates next in line to move up to 6th. And Alex McCullum getting by his teammate, Cole Cabry. That's pretty significant. The 54 has been really, really good the last handful of laps. I'd say nearly 50, if not 60. Really, really good. And if he's starting to show some signs of struggle, he's falling back to Trevor Edwards, who is moving his way through the top 10 in points now, and would like to do the same in this race. He's 5th, looking for 4th. We're about to have some big-time shakeups up front, and if nobody can get to this 6 car, I mean, Kyle Eli couldn't do it. Is anybody going to be able to do it?
I don't know here, Andrew. And a lot of people would say that lead changes and passes for the lead, overtakes are what really make a good race, but we haven't had a single lead change, and we've had fights for the lead, and this has still been an amazing race from these drivers as Schaefer continues to pull away now, stretching his lead out as Harbers is trying to make his way up through the field still and mitigate the points loss that he might have to McCullum.
And Matt Rolfe has driven his way through the field as well. I mean, this is pretty impressive stuff from him. As low as 29th early in this race, now into 11th. Was 10th for a short time. As I hear some banging against the wall. I think it's these guys back here. They're running side by side. Landon Rapp leading this group. Keith Jeffrey down low. Dustin Monburquette there. Jeffrey loose. Jim Cottle Jr. are going to take advantage of that, but boy, did Monburquette have to pedal.
Yeah, Monburquette has actually worked himself up a little bit further after being involved in that first yellow of the race. Really just on the outside of the top 10, midfield right now, and it looks like he's trying to just make sure he can get back up there a little bit more. He was up in the top 5 earlier, and now he's just trying to figure out how he can get around, move forward as the bottom continues once again to charge forward but stall out on these straightaways.
21 laps to go, this time by the stripe, and this is the fighting. Back here around 15th position. Jeffrey in 15th, trying to make it 14th. Jim Cottle Jr. stuck up top. Drew Wooten in this group, Casey Kelly, and so many others looking for these last-minute positions, it feels like. But Kyle Kelly is starting to get a little bit unorthodox as we hit 20 to go, and is searching around for speed as McCullum and Cavry slow down.
Saw Eli hit the wall right there. 21's trying to find any possible way he can to get up there to the 6, and
it's working.
Looks like it is definitely working. The bottom is rolling. Times are closing up, but he's running out of laps. That's the problem.
It's working, though. He has gotten a whole lot closer. It seems like Kyle can get there. He just can't go by. And he's even had the nose ahead a couple of times, just hasn't been able to complete the pass. But as we get later in this race, you best believe I think contact will become an option. By the way, Trevor Edwards might lose a spot here to Dylan Bates. I think Trevor's got the wall at some point. That right front looks a little crinkled up, if you will. And Dylan Bates definitely there to try and take advantage of it. In the back of the pack, once again, we have these guys. Caution is imminent when you see racing like this. The leaders have to be careful and tread lightly because at any point in time, whatever they're doing could come right back, and we're racked up back in a restart. Everything could unravel in that case.
Re-rack him, restack him.
There you go.
Boy, send him off into turn number 1.
Oh, that was some wall contact with 15 to go for the 21 car. He rode the fence for a moment down the backstretch.
Yeah, he flipped it quite good there. As you can see, the time is shrinking a little bit more, but he's lost quite a bit. Schaefer up there in the number 1 spot. As we roll up on almost 10 to go here, Andrew, he is definitely running out of time. He's got to find a way around. Kyle Eli still working, but they are walking away from Alex McCullum and Cole Cavry.
And you know what Joe likes to see right now? Clean racetrack. Nobody up ahead. No lap cars to spoil this right now. Let's hope it stays that way. It certainly could change, but right now it's looking good for our race leaders to be able to fight this one out without outside influence as we're breaking up into tandems on a short track. How about that? Trayton Lapswich, though, with pressure here from Spencer Dickinson and Aaron Johnson, who's kept a clean chrome dome on that number 78 car. Matt Rolfe at a 10th. Jacob Harbert's 11th. Justin Laxton in 12th. And it all sorts back to this fight still. Oh my gosh. They're getting me nervous. 10 laps to go.
I did not notice this, but
Wooten.
Spinner keeps a hold on to it. I did not notice this, but apparently Ryan Kuhn is out of the race. 10 laps down at the 24th position.
Yep, Jim Cottle Jr. as well. I was wondering where Matt Rolfe got the spot to move into the top 10, but you're right. Something has happened to Ryan Kuhn, and a bad week last week compounds this week. He's scored 24th. Jim Cottle Jr., I guess, got by him. But the 15 and 72 both out of this race, and I would love to know what caused it. Unfortunately, it was 12 laps ago. I don't know that we're going to get a look as Drew Wooten now is in the pit lane. They're starting to drop off one by one. Casey Kelly's out of the race. Jim Cottle Jr., Ryan Kuhn, Richie Murray, Grayson Ward, all out at this point.
As we roll through, rolling up on, I believe, 7 laps to go here. And the cap is
That's
down
6.
to about 6 laps to go, excuse me. Gap is down to about just under 0.2 of a second. A little bit of contact there on the wall on the back stretch. And these drivers, they've got to be tired. They've been working this wheel for 168 laps and just trying to make it to the end. Not too much longer now, Andrew.
4 laps to go, this time by Joe Schaefer Jr. has the most pressure he's had all race long. 4 to go. And here comes Kyle Eli, right to the inside. He bobbles a bit on power, but we've got ourselves maybe the best chance Kyle's had all race, because at this point, 3 laps to go now. Gloves are off. He can use the bumper, and that's just short track racing. Will he, though? These guys have a ton of respect in the field. Will he use the bumper? I don't know.
Well, Andrew, 2 laps to go right here. He is right on the tailpipes of that number 6 from Joe Schaefer Jr. He's looking low. Not there yet, but they're going to be side by side, rolling through 2 down the back stretch. Oh, this is going to get good.
This time around, it's the white flag brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams for these 2 out front. They've been first and second for 172 laps. Can they flip that script? Can Kyle Eli get there down here in turn 3? The answer is no. And how about the Epic Media number 6 going to victory lane at Southern National Motorsports Park? What a win for Joe Schaefer Jr. Every single lap led.
He's got to be happy about that one, Andrew. I certainly would. Leading the whole race, being able to take advantage of it, and almost gave up the lead a few times, but was able to hang on.
He is him. What a performance. And he got the pole by virtue of that formula in the top 8. And truthfully, the race would probably have played out differently if not for that. But what a performance. Taking advantage of that opportunity, leading every single lap. That does not happen by accident.
No, it does not. He was certainly on rails tonight. Alex McCullum was not able to mount a charge. Kyle Eli was able to do something, but wasn't able to get it done, as we see Joe Schaefer Jr. taking that Polish victory lap made famous by Alan Kawicki in 1992. And boy, you just love to see it. What a race, Andrew.
Fantastic showing for the entire field. Just 2 cautions over the course of 173 laps. All those naysayers recently, take a look at this one. 2 cautions, 173 laps at one of the toughest tracks we'll go to all season. And Joe Schaefer Jr. leads 173 en route to victory. What a race. That, I think, again, it silences all those naysayers that we've had recently, and just shows the strength of this field, shows the strength of Joe Schaefer Jr. What a race out of him. Oh boy, we've got a lot to talk about here post-race, and we'll get a chance to do so as Joe Schaefer takes the win. Let's go through your unofficial race results. First up, Joe Schaefer Jr., of course, car 600 in scoring, but car 6 on the racetrack. Kyle Eli there in second. Alex McCullum, Cole Cabrey, Trevor Edwards. A very impressive top 5, and how about the fact that 3 of those drivers in the top 5, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, are all on the same team racing for the shop. So clearly, the shop has won their matchup, I'd say. Dylan Bates, Trayton Lapsovich, Spencer Dickinson, Aaron Johnson, and Matt Rolfe, the top 10. Matt, welcome back. That is a really solid day for the Zero car.
Absolutely. He put himself in for quite a show tonight, especially with a few drivers dropping out there towards the end. Jacob Harbert's coming home with an 11th place finish. That's not exactly what he needed when it comes to his points, but like you said, Andrew, we've got 2 drop weeks getting factored in after this week. Definitely going to see how everything falls through once the drops go in. Justin Laxton ends up 12th, landing wrap 13th after fighting pretty hard inside the top 10 earlier today. That's what we were talking about, Andrew, being up on the top side too long, getting those tires too hot, and ended up falling back just a little bit. John Owlett, Keith Jeffrey, Dustin Momberquette, Tyler Divananzo, Grant Brown, Daniel Folds, and Kyle Meyer rounding out your top 20. Daniel Folds being the first one lap down, Meyer right behind him. So definitely a few lap cars in this race. We had almost half the field a lap down.
This page is really just a whole bunch of pain for a whole lot of drivers. Drew Wooten, an early exit. Casey Kelly, Ryan Kuhn, the biggest of the bunch that ends up out of this race. It looks like on the results, he's sort of ahead of Jim Cottle. I'm not sure what's going on there between those two. Small discrepancy, I suppose. But Ryan Kuhn, 23rd, 24th, that doesn't matter. That is an abysmal effort. And there are his 2 drops, Zach. If he has another bad race like this, I don't know that he contends for the championship unless we see the same thing for Alex McCullum. But I don't think Alex has finished south of the top 3 yet this season. It's been a whole lot of first and second place, now third this evening. I mean, you just can't have room for finishes like this. And Ryan, again, he'll have 2 drops, so the points going into next week will still look good. But one more race like this, and that's it for the 72 car, I feel like. But the rest of the field there on your screen. And Zach, we have got some drivers to talk to. Joe Schaefer Jr. with the win. It's the Epic Media Ford Mustang and an epic win here at Southern National Motorsports Park in a long 173 lap race. Joe, how did you hang on there at the end?
Ooh, I don't know. I got to give Kyle a ton of credit for running me clean. I mean, we're teammates, so I think he might have felt a little obligated. But if I was anybody else, Kyle had that race. But I've lost races on track position before, so it's fun to be on the right side of it.
Absolutely. A long, grueling race. Of course, you had a lot of green flag racing that first half, then a caution right around in the middle. How big was the sigh that you must have let out when that caution came out, and it's like, well, here comes the field right back to you?
Well, it was there was a little frustration. I just felt like we were chasing the car up the hill, down the hill all day, and I had just kind of gotten it to level out in the high line, and my handling came and went, a couple different times throughout the race, and then I was really used up at the end. So I guess those first couple of cautions I definitely didn't want, but the one towards the end I felt like I needed for sure.
And this is a big deal, not just for the number 6, but I think the whole series. Kind of some caution-laden races to get the season going. Now we come out, we have 2 cautions at arguably one of the harder tracks on the schedule this season, which has to have everybody feeling pretty good going into, well, national events here at Hickory in a couple of weeks, and then moving on in the series when we go to 5 flags. Does this maybe change your approach now? I mean, you have to consider maybe for a little more long run when you go setup building as opposed to the short runs we've had?
I don't think we will. It's SARA is probably the toughest short track league on the service, and maybe equally as competitive as some of the more, nationally known series. So we always prepare for a long run car because that's what you can get, and that's what you're likely to get. For me personally, starting last week, I finally switched back to racing in VR. I tried racing just on a widescreen for the first few weeks, and that made testing more difficult. That made racing more difficult. Now I think we, as a team, have a much better feel on what the car needs to be, and I'm grateful for that.
Well, Joe, good to talk to you finally this season. An epic win for the Epic Media Ford Mustang. Hopefully we're talking to you a few more times this season.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Joe Schaefer Jr. with 173 laps led in the Jason K. Miller Memorial 173. That is a huge number, Zach. And Kyle Eli had to sit second for every single one of those laps. Might have been teammates, but that doesn't always matter in short track racing. Here's Kyle Eli.
Yeah, Kyle Eli doing everything he can to get this win from Joe Schaefer Jr., but ultimately fell just under 2/10 short. Kyle, walk us through your race, really how everything turned out for you, and do you think there was anything you could have for Joe there, or do you think maybe second was all you had for it?
Yeah, for sure. I think we qualified pretty well. I think we were third overall, and with the handicapping, that put us second. So with me and Joe kind of being teammates, we were able to control both lanes, which was really helpful for us. Just unfortunately, we kind of had to move up and search for lanes, and once I feel like I had a run around Joe, it's really hard to pass here. So that last yellow, I think we were side by side, and I don't really know how close we were when the yellow flag came out, but I felt like we had a chance to kind of get the lead from him there. But after that, we were just riding behind him, try to see if he can make a mistake. But he ran a really great race, and we've had caution-filled races the past couple of weeks, so this was really cool to see, and looking for the next one.
Absolutely. You did everything you could to make sure you could try to get that win. You especially try to do it cleanly, but I do have to ask, did the bump and run ever come to your mind in those last 10 laps?
Nah, you can never do that here. I mean, especially with Joe, I for sure is gonna race him super clean. I mean, I don't ever want to use the bumper on anyone, and he was leaving me a lane on the bottom, which I tried working, but we were just super tight there at the end. And whenever I really got a run, I tried to make that work, but there really was nothing you could do. The top was pretty dominant there, and like I said, the car got super tight. But this was good momentum boost for both of us. We've been in a lot of wrecks the past couple of weeks, so hopefully we could move on this forward.
Well, you certainly did a good job tonight. You come away with a solid points day and a second place finish. Can't really ask for anything better than that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Andrew, I believe our third place finisher tonight, Alex McCullum, is standing by waiting to talk to you.
Yeah, we're always talking to driver number one, and tonight driver number one ends up finishing number 3. Alex, a really interesting racetrack, really compelling really compelling at different points of the race, and of course, you worked your way forward after being mired a little bit by the metric. What was that like, first of all, just to get going, having to work through some of those cars for what feels like the 10th week in a row?
Yeah, definitely, car was really fast through those first green flag laps. I was able to move around, run bottom, run top. It was definitely a lot of fun, able to run top, bottom, middle, pretty much anywhere, try to get a position. But I mean, the shop cars were just really fast for like that first run on the green flag run. I think I went 8th to 3rd under green, which is really hard in this series, but all of our cars were really good, and we just need a little bit more after those yellows.
That's, of course, the most green flag racing we've seen to this point in the season. That's a big, big deal when you've got track temps like we saw, over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, straight up sunlight beating down on the racetrack, and a whole lot of green flag racing on high banking, a lot of lateral Gs. How difficult was that? You mentioned searching around the racetrack. It was very evident. You guys abandoned the bottom side of the racetrack a couple of times, looking around a little bit. What was that like for the first time this season?
It felt actually really good because the car felt good up top, and I noticed a lot of people's stuff wasn't really good up top throughout the pack. So our stuff was really good to be able to maneuver around wherever we wanted to put it. But it definitely makes it a lot more fun when we can go green here, because the top lane definitely comes up. So I think you're to see the top lane, the middle, pretty much the same what we saw tonight the rest of the season if we keep these races staying green.
And it's 3 weeks until we go back points racing, but you are still going to be the points leader. Points leader coming into this evening. I'd imagine even still with the drops, finishing 3rd tonight with Ryan in the back. Car number 1 is going to be still position number 1 in the points. Does that change your approach at all with 3 weeks until we go back points racing at the very least at 5 flags? Or is it still the same old game? Just go out there, try to qualify number 1, deal with the metrics starting from 8th probably, and then just drive back through the field to the best of your ability?
As of right now, it's the same game plan as day one, is just go and race. And honestly, whatever happens, happens. I mean, we try to bring the best cars we can every week. Sometimes we're going to hit it. Sometimes we're going to miss it. So thankfully, we've been on it these last since the season opener. And I think our season's looking really good. We just got to stay out of trouble. And our cars are really good right now. So hopefully we can keep the momentum going.
Well, Alex, congratulations, you guys, and, well, your whole team doing a fantastic job over at the shop. Solid effort. Hopefully we'll talk to you much more.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Alex McCullum for the 4th week straight here on the broadcast, talking to us after the race. He is just a monster in the super late, Zach. Yeah, another race well done for car number 1. We looked over the results and everything. It's the same old for Alex, at least, as the rest of the field kind of tries to pick up the pieces. The shop drivers were fantastic. They finished right behind them, but Ryan Kuhn, I think, is the biggest, I don't even know the word. I think biggest headline, I suppose.
One could say that. I think that would be a good way to put it.
Well, things definitely change up between races 5 and 6, that's for sure. Next time out, we go to Five Flag Speedway thanks to Justin Brooks Designs, and that 125 lapper is definitely going to be pivotal for sure. And we keep talking championship this early in the season. Maybe, yeah, we should give it a rest, but this all plays into it, right? Every single one of these races, this momentum, like Kyle Eli talked about, big changes throughout the course of this race and who's going to have momentum. Again, this is the second week in a row. Ryan Kuhn has finished in the back, did not finish. That's what I was looking for. DNF'd. Yeah, so the second week in a row, the 72 car has finished that far back. That's going to start adding up, especially when we get the maybe third finish like that for him, potentially. If we get that third finish like that, our Soda 2 is going to be in trouble along with some others. But Zach, we can take a look at what's upcoming here at Pit Stop TV. Forget about the rearview mirror. Let's look out the windshield. A little bit lighter program the next week or so, couple of weeks. But as we get into March, a whole lot of oval racing. It continues here on the channel. We go Las Vegas racing this Sunday with the Icon Cup Series, March 3rd. Then it's out to Daytona once again for the SARG Super Speedway Series. In fact, I know the picture shows the new Daytona, but we're actually going to old Daytona, going to the Legacy Scan for this next race for those guys on Wednesday, March 6th. And then, since we have the off week for the SARA Super Series, we head out to Phoenix Raceway next up after that on March 10th. For the Icon Cup Series. That West Coast swing is going to be very, very important this early in the season.
Absolutely. You've always got, well, I don't want to say you've always got to really place bets when it comes to Vegas or even Phoenix, but those are two tracks that are really great in the next gen, and I'm looking forward to see how those races go. And if you want to look forward to those races, you can always look at all the different places that you can watch them on. Facebook.com/PitStopTV, Instagram.com/Pit_Stop_TV, Twitter.com/PitStopTV. It keeps confusing me now that it's X, and I can't remember if it's X.com or Twitter.com now, but I'll get used to it. I will. I promise I will. Twitch.tv/Pit_Stop_TV, YouTube.com, the main place to watch Pit Stop TV, YouTube.com/PitStopTV1, and Kick.com, our newest platform to watch Pit Stop TV, Kick.com/PitStopTV1. Andrew, I think I usually get out of breath every time I run through it like that, because I fire it off.
Yeah, that's the fun of it. Talk all race long, and then right at the end, run out of breath because you're trying to get the social links out there. And you know what? Twitter and X.com right now interchangeable, at least as that crossover still happens. At the very least, that's a good thing, right? If the platform is going to change, give us some time to adjust. I do need to change that graphic up, though. But again, props to this whole series. A really, really solid race. All that we could ask for. 2 cautions. 0 lead changes. Maybe could have asked for a few more of those, but
I think it was still pretty fun either way.
Yeah, it was not without battle for the lead. Just absolutely phenomenal racing here in the Jason K. Memorial. Jason K. Miller Memorial 173. Fantastic race. The whole field, I think, can give themselves a pat on the back. Really, really good stuff. Once again, big shout out to our partners here. A big thank you to our partners with the series. 1-8 Coffee Company, Pedley's Garage Incorporated, Pierce Fleet Service, Race1Wraps.com, RS Center Trucking, SARA Next Gen Templates, SimWrapMarket.com, Sousa Media, Studio 10 Wraps, Toxic Media Solutions, and that is only the half of them. How about Boyd's Automotive, Pro Sim Shots, Davis Chassis Works, DriverTees.com, I believe powered by Patriot Media Services, Fast AF Designs, Hyde's Pride, International Short Track Association, Jeff By Jr. Art, Justin Brooks Designs, Matthews Designs, and next up, our next presenting partner will be Justin Brooks Designs. Just the support behind this series is absolutely unmatched across sim racing, at least as far as private leagues go like this, aside from, series like the eNASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola series. I don't think it gets better than this. And in short track racing, a lot like I think Alex said, this is the cream of the crop. Might have been Kyle, actually. One of the two. This is the cream of the crop. This is where you want to go racing in short track racing on the iRacing.com sim, especially in late models. You want to end up here in this series. It's invite only, and we saw why tonight. While, yes, it's been a bit of a struggle to get that green flag racing, tip of the cap definitely some golf claps to the whole field. Amazing race once again. But let's just finish the talking. Zach, first of all, thanks for being here this evening. Good to have you back with us and getting on more of these broadcasts. And a big-time shout-out to our partners here with the channel as well. Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, CC's Business. That'll do it from Southern National Motorsports Park. 173 laps later. Next up, we go out to Five Flags Speedway. Do not miss that one, March 21st. It's a little ways out, but I think we're going to see a lot more of this kind of racing throughout the season. And look at that groove cut into the racetrack. That is a cool visual here at the end. But once again, thanks for watching here at Pit Stop TV. It's a pleasure as always. Thanks to InAudio, ATV, Whiplash SimCams, OBS, and iRacing.com. We'll see you all March 21st. Hopefully, though, we see you sooner. March 3rd, Las Vegas Motor Speedway this Sunday. Make sure you're there for the Icon Cup Series for their second race of the season. We hope to see you there. Otherwise, we'll see you at Five Flags. Have a good night.